I'd like to welcome you all to the launch of the Training Needs Analysis Report for prison staff.
The prison system are both complex and interlinked. They range from overcrowding to the vast numbers of pre- and under-trial prisoners, to issues related to lack of inmate segregation, issues related to classification, issues related to security threats. Similar challenges that we face in the United States.
It works in sort of three areas. The first is to facilitate legal aid representation to prisoners inside prisons, and therefore to work on decongesting prisons and to improve the living conditions inside them. It works on improving sort of living conditions in terms of identifying welfare gaps, and from time to time it comes in to fill those gaps in collaboration with prisons departments and conducts welfare drives. And it has a modest sort of think tank or research department which from time to time, due to its unique placement and the access that the government has been gracious enough to grant it, has access to data.
I'm hoping that over the course of these 2 days we can really cut to the chase very quickly. Accept that there are needs that need to be addressed and look at how we can set about addressing those needs.
Since the provinces did not have their institutions, that's why the clerical staff as well as the warders were taken, and they were providing, we kept on providing training, even in Balochistan and KPK, since they are under the process of developing their institution.
Right now we are having the ratio 7:1. You know, yes, 7 prisoner and 1 constable. Okay, and for women and juveniles it is 2:1.
We are trying to make sure that 15% quota of females is observed in our prisons, and to make sure that they are properly represented in the system.
I don't know, my Honorable IG Prison Sahiba may not like my statement, but I would quote that this is the reason that since last 1.5 years or 2 years, we are not in a position to recruit a single warder. There are a lot of problems we are facing. 50% of recruitees, they run away, just run away while they are being sent to trainings.
Single challenge in the academy, restricting ourselves to training the warders.
Whatever little training is being done, are we actually thinking about its impact? Do we know if it makes any difference, or are we just doing it for the sake of doing it? So those are some really important questions. How are we matching our objectives with what's being done? And does it make a difference? Is teaching all this stuff, all these modules, hard and soft, making any ounce? Is there an iota of difference?
What do we do when this happens? If we gave them scenarios in many cases, if you find drugs on somebody in the prison, what do? They would actually have no idea.
The disparities, the challenges this report did highlight significantly, and the ground we have to cover. Sometimes we do get a bit ambitious and want to bring in high-end IT solutions, but the report brought to light the very fact that this may be a challenge in itself, because the capacity gap to implement some of that needs to be addressed first.
The training curriculum looks to modernise what is taking place in Pakistan so that it meets with contemporary international standards, and it takes into full account the Mandela rules, which were formerly the standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners. Okay, so half has been achieved, I think. We're aware of what the findings were, and particularly if you make reference to the 4-page executive summary, you'll see what the observations and recommendations were. In some other programs around the world, most notably Australia, which I'm familiar with, there are 8 prison jurisdictions. They all have the same curriculum, but they can change it 20%. And it sets out what the knowledge and understanding is, what the skill requirement is, what the responsibility levels are, and what qualification type it is. I'm sure somebody spoke yesterday about the training being, at this stage, being very didactic. Somebody stands at the front, reads something out, you have to write it down in a dictation form and be able to regurgitate it. And that's not very effective adult learning practices. You're the leader, you're the leader, you're the leader, you're the leader. Find your area, get your troops assembled, 15 minutes to hear back.
All 33 areas were endorsed as being things which are relevant and needed for constables. So,
role of the other ranks, that thing is not included in it. There should be some component regarding the teamwork. A warder should not be trained in isolation, searching the prisoner and the premises. That component is also missing.
We also spoke about the importance of preventing conditioning and manipulation, and radicalization. Those are the 2 aspects that have been missing from the curriculum.
Analysis system, like your colleague, how do you find, how he find you? You're going through the training program.
We felt that the purpose and the objective needs to be highlighted a little bit more.
We're of the view that some of those times may need to be revised, particularly with regard to the issue of stress management.
Something that I thought was interesting was that the hard side wasn't there, like the drill and the marching.
Right now, there are 59 children who are accompanying their mother in various jails of KP. And so far our approach has been that because their mother have done something wrong, so they are also part of the package. Colorado correction system, it is called the correction system. This is the very first difference between our system and their system.
what happened here in a day and a quarter is that we had an honest discussion. We had a candid discussion. We had a frank discussion with leadership of prisons. And the credit goes to them. They came here, they stood, they were transparent. They said, ladies and gentlemen, any questions? We are here to talk about our budgets, to talk about corruption, to talk about transparency, to talk about what's going wrong.
Today, if we agree to all the suggestions to recommendations, we can take along these experiences to our provinces and we can rethink about them and we can give feedback as per need basis or maybe as you direct us.
My staff is male and female warders are trained by NAPA at Lahore at free of cost. We have no too much budget for the training.
We are in the process of developing prison management information system, which will enable us to properly handle the court productions, the cases, the prisoners which are lying in the jails without being produced in the courts and such other things.
On behalf of the Legal Aid Office, I would like to thank you all for giving of your time, and I call an end to today's play. Thank you very much. Wapas aa jao. Wapas aa jao. Jaldi, jaldi, jaldi.